Welcome to Arts District. I'm your host, Carrie Saldo. As artists, Charles Parson and his son Collin are overlapping generations, which Charles describes as, quote, sleeving one era into another. That continuance is the focus of a new exhibit at the Colorado Springs Fine Arts Center. Charles's large-scale sculptures lend elegance to steel and glass. For Collin's work, brightly colored lights transform interior spaces into pseudo-cosmic experiences. We met the Parsons to explore how their father-son relationship has informed their artistry and discuss where their similarities and differences lie.
I love the opportunity to show the poetics in life.
The horizon and the landscape, the silhouette of the mountains, are really important to me, and I love the cosmos. I love space.
Both of these artists are looking at how we experience the world through light and through our landscape and through our space. Both artists are giving us something that is really rooted in their own emotions and their own experiences, but it's also very intellectual.
The title for the two combined one-person exhibits is Continuance, and it's about the dialogue between generations that is universal.
By showing these two artists side by side and not necessarily next to each other in the same space is really giving our viewers the opportunity to experience these artists as individuals, but to also see where Collin has been inspired by his father.
As a kid, I always loved light, and I use a lot of the similar methods and techniques that my father uses, especially material, acrylic, industrial found material.
I'm making references to readings, to pieces of music, to thoughts, and they kind of fold in. They really help, I think, give a cue for the viewer if the work is a little hard. All of this is a little, at times, confusing. I mean, drawings, steel beams, standing on this shiny piece of metal that was inspired by the floor plate on our mass transit buses. If a person can walk in and realize this is a language, it's a visual language, that I'm really trying to speak to them.
So one of my goals is to slow the viewer down, and that's by having them enter and they look at it, and then right when they're about to walk away, they're like, wait, it's changing color? That's when I know that the piece is somewhat successful, and I'm hoping that that can translate to outside. So when they're just driving, they notice their surroundings, they just slow down.
You approach each exhibit kind of in opposite ways. With Collin's work, you enter it and it's immediately very emotive, and you come to the intellectual side after you've spent some time with the work. Whereas Chuck's, you enter the gallery and it's very structural and it feels very industrial. But after you've spent some time with that work, then you really begin to get a sense of who he is and the emotion that's underlying his work.
These materials, I feel, are my visual vocabulary to speak to the poetics in life. This is my aesthetic. This is what I consider beautiful. And I deal with connection. Connections, it could be something as simple as a handshake or an embrace. It can be the structures in buildings or doors and windows that lead from one thing to another.
I want to simplify the design as much as I can. I don't want to emphasize the technology. I want to emphasize the light and the reactions that we have to the light, the calming effects, the meditative, the spiritual effects that light has on each of us. There's sometimes a lot going on, but I want the light to be the primary medium, not the design itself.
I love drawing. I sit down and draw every day, but it's in black and white. It just speaks to me with clarity. Some people pray, some people meditate, some people jog or exercise. I draw every day. I've honed it down where color seems over the top emotionally. I'm trying to show the quiet, more still version of what I see in life.
Art can motivate people to understand the world in different ways, to see the world in different ways.
To have us contemplate life. It becomes a gift of understanding, maybe in a nonverbal way, who you are, why you're here.
I'm Carrie Saldo. Like us on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, join our newsletter, and come back here to our studio next week. Arts District is a collaboration between Rocky Mountain PBS and public radio stations KUVO and KVJZ.